Is Ken Rubotzky. I'm a student and teacher at Hung Tao Choy Mei Leadership Institute. I've been studying Jiao Kung Fu for 18 years, maybe 19 now. I remember when I first walked by the school, it was another martial arts school. It was a jiu-jitsu school, and I said, I got to go to that place. I got to go to that place on U Street. And 2 years later, I walked in, and it was a Kung Fu school. And I had never studied Kung Fu. I grew up in New England, and Kung Fu was a bit remote for me. So I was excited. And 19 years later, I'm still here, part of the community spirit at the Hung Tao Choy Mei Leadership Institute. I think the school does a good job in reaching out to the community. It has a great way of teaching deep roots of Chinese culture and Kung Fu to anybody who wants to come in, young or old. For the kids, I think it's more about learning the Kung Fu moves themselves and playing the big drums. And for the adults, I think it's more of they're more aware of at least the personal journey that they'll make in studying the Kung Fu. Learning that they can move fast and be strong and defend themselves and get stronger and be more limber, do a lot of things maybe that they thought they couldn't do at first. I think the school has a lasting effect on people. They come back because Washington's such a transitory place, people coming and going all the time. They stop in. You see them 3 years later, 4 years later. The kids stop in. They're 6 feet taller, and you can barely recognize them. And they're very excited to see you and talk to you, and you can barely remember their name because they gave you a nickname when they were 6 years old, and now they're using their adult name. The community, I think, gets a lot of benefit out of the school because it is not just a martial arts school, but it's a performing arts nexus. It promotes the idea that performing art is a valuable part of the culture here on U Street. Not too far down the street is the historic Lincoln Theater and Black Broadway, a place where many Americans could perform in public, and maybe the only place they could perform in public, and sharpen their skills and learn how to present and to engage the crowd. And I think to a big extent, the school is engaging in that performing arts tradition of Black Broadway. Kung Fu itself has a lot of positive values that it tries to instill, but you have to embrace them. If you don't embrace them, they don't come to you. And in learning Kung Fu, for the kids, I think one of the things that they begin to learn is that they're not such an invincible being. When you're 6, 7, 8 years old, you bounce into the wall, you fall off your bike, and you're fine. But when you train hard and you train with others in sparring or just trying to get stronger, you realize that you're not as invincible as you think. And I think this is a good notion for kids these days, that they need to care for themselves and they need to care for others. And I think the Hung Tao Choy Mei Leadership Academy Institute does a great job doing that. We have also traveled internationally. And our first trip was in 1999. We went to Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and mainland China. And it was an unusual series of countries to go to. Singapore is a city-state, a very successful city-state. Malaysia, their poorer neighbors, a bigger country. And we got to see a lot of the different components that make up Asia: big countries, powerful city-states, and China, Hong Kong, and mainland China. And when we went, I think it was a bit daunting to go and present Kung Fu to people who've been doing it all in their lives, in their own cultural background, in their own home. But we were well received. And what was remarkable to me was how embedded in the culture that the Kung Fu is. People are on boards, they're on associations, they hold banquets, they help the community, they raise money. Kung Fu is not a, punch them and kick them up kind of social media entertaining motif. It's an integral part of the culture. And you could go down the street and some people say, oh yeah, I studied Jiao Ga when I was 6. I studied Jiao Ga when I was in the army. It's everywhere. And as a result, people are also involved on these committees, helping out the community. Not with Kung Fu, but just helping them live. When we got there, we were hosted very well with large banquets, and we would sit down and I would wonder what board was this, which Kung Fu board was this, which martial art association was this. And there was always, older folks sitting around the table, and pictures on the walls, and speeches in a language I couldn't understand, but a very deep integral part of the culture. One of the first events that we had was how to reduce youth violence. We formed, I would say, a coalition with local partners who are trying to also fight gun violence and to increase the health and welfare of people, kids, adults in the community. We went on and offered summer school programs, free classes, Kung Fu, come and learn free Kung Fu. Oh, by the way, the city offers free breakfast and lunch, come and get that too. And those things don't just happen. People have to be trained, they have to be licensed, they have to be checked out, and then those services are provided courtesy of the city. So in many ways, we're providing for the nutrition and the welfare and the well-being of the community. And we're not even talking about going to a competition or, who can kick the hardest. We're talking about making people better, safer. And I think that is the part that people don't understand when they see the name, but they understand once they're in the school and they see the kids and the adults interacting with the kids and people from all walks of life in Washington, D.C. Participating in teaching and learning.